I think it's safe to say that I am now emotionally invested in this series. Today on Readus Reviews, I reviewed The Wicked and the Divine Volume 2, written by Kieron Gillen, drawn by Jamie McKelvie, and published by Image Comics. So this takes place about 3 months after the events that happened in Volume 1, and Laura is basically still trying to figure out who possibly framed Lucifer. Lucy for short. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because if I say any more, then I am going to spoil the shit out of this. So with that, let's move to the plot. As far as the plot is concerned, I feel that Volume 2 was on par with Volume 1. And I say that to mean that the story in Volume 2 was just as well paced as it was in Volume 1. That is to say, in regards of what was going on in the story, which gods were involved, and the overall flow and investigation of the main storyline. And another thing I liked about Volume 2 is that it did a good job incorporating new things without straying away too much from the overall story. Especially the one that was introduced to us in Volume 1 that still needs some answers. This involves new lore in The Wicked and the Divine, along with new characters. Speaking of characters, let's talk about the ones that I felt stood out the most, starting with Laura. Laura stood out to me for the same reasons that she mainly stood out to me in Volume 1, with the addition of being obsessive as fuck. Which, in the defense of both the character and the writer, makes complete and utter sense given what happened at the end of Volume 1. And given what happens in Volume 2, a lot of her decisions make complete and utter sense, especially given what she went through in Volume 1. And then we get introduced to a new god, Inanna, who I immediately became interested in and attached to just because of his overall usefulness in the story. You know, Prince aesthetic aside. Speaking of which, that's another one of the things that attracted me to his character. Because if you remember my main critique about Volume 1 of The Wicked and the Divine, then you will remember that one of my main nitpicks was that most of the male-bodied gods weren't as avant-garde or fashion-forward as most of the female-bodied gods. And after being exposed to him, I feel that Inanna is basically what I've been wanting since Volume 1. And I'm glad I finally got it. Now let's talk about Cassandra. She got a huge ass bump since Volume 1, like Jesus fuck. I am upset, however, that it took said bump to actually add depth to her character as far as I'm concerned. But I am glad it's there, because if you remember my review of Volume 1, I did say that I found her interesting and I did want more of her. Baphomet's actions in Volume 2 took me by surprise, even though they shouldn't have. I wasn't expecting him to take the role that he decided to take in Volume 2, but at the same time, I shouldn't have been surprised that he took the role that he decided to take in Volume 2. Because it's fucking Baphomet. And then of course there's Dionysus. Now, it should come to no surprise to you readers that just like Volume 1, I also had some nitpicks with Volume 2. Not necessarily for myself, but take into consideration other readers of this series. And the one in question is that Volume 2 explains a lot of the series' plot details, but it might take a couple of read-throughs in order for everybody to get it. And not just of Volume 2, of Volume 1 as well. If you want to get into this series, you really need to pay attention to almost everything that's said in every issue, which some people, like me, won't have a problem with. Can't say the same for other motherfuckers, though. As far as the pros in this book, it's just one pro. And that's mostly the fact that the ending of this volume, y'all, I just have so many questions. Like, the way this volume ended made sure it did its best to keep you hella invested in this series. Even if you only read Volume 1 and finished it only mildly interested. You wanna know how emotionally invested I am in this series now? I watched Season 1 of Game of Thrones and realized that I was fucking done with the show. That's how emotionally invested I am in The Wicked plus the Divine. So yeah, I'm not at all surprised that the full retail for this book is $15. Given the fact that I enjoyed the fuck out of Volume 1 and want to see where the story goes, I'd say it's worth the full retail price investment. But at the same time, I can't get mad at motherfuckers who want to catch it on sale. So with that, readers, your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comments section below your thoughts of The Wicked + the Divine Volume 2 if you've read it. And if this is your first time hearing about the series, then make sure you click the card in front of my face to watch my review of Volume 1. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.